Hi everyone, this is Deidre Harder and I want to welcome you to a webinar presented by John D. Accounting Solutions. And before we get started, I wanted to let you know why we're hosting this webinar and what you can expect to get out of this webinar. This webinar is specifically for Amazon FBA sellers, and tonight we're going to be talking about sales tax, everyone's favorite subject. This has been a thorn in the side of most Amazon sellers, and what we're going to do tonight is educate you on the practical way to handle the sales tax issue and highlight the important points to consider to save you countless hours of time researching, reading, and trying to figure out what's important in all that information. My partner and I, John K. Patel, whom you'll meet in just a moment, we've created John D. Accounting Solutions, and you may have figured out by now it's her name, the first part of her name and the last first part of my name put together. But we wanted to bring you this service so that we could cut to the chase for you guys. Sales tax affects you directly, and it affects all online sellers. But rather than try to cover every aspect of every situation for every online seller, we're focusing on Amazon FBA sellers who are faced with determining what they need to do based on their inventory being stored at Amazon. We are going to show you ways to take care of it on your own so you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars having someone set you up. We're going to give you an overview and compare your options for handling sales tax registration, collection, and compliance. Those are the three main components of sales tax. And we're going to give you the approximate cost for both time and money for each of these options, because as we all know, time is in actuality sometimes more valuable than money. But sometimes we have more time than money. So we're going to let you know how you can go about it and balance those two out. And we're going to introduce you, so this is an educational webinar, but it also is a webinar to introduce you to a brand new course that John Key and I have created that guides you through every aspect of sales tax compliance on a state-by-state basis. And this course provides human and expert support throughout the entire process, and it gives you a plan of implementation that's easy to manage. So this is a course, and this is a course that you can purchase at the end of this, or not. It's totally up to you. The course is simply there. If you go through the steps we talk about tonight, and as I said before, you can absolutely do this on your own, and we're going to explain how. But if you get through there and realize you'd like some extra help, that's what this course is for. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. And at the very end, we're going to answer your specific questions about sales tax for Amazon sellers. So if you have questions, we're going to be happy to answer those for you. For those of you who may or may not know me, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Deidre Harder, and I'm an accountant by profession. I received my Bachelor of Arts degree from St. Leo University, and I have worked in both governmental accounting and public accounting for over 20 years. And I did a lot of tax stuff for a lot of people. I began my online business in the fall of 2011. I sort of stumbled upon Amazon. We had some, my husband and I had some difficult financial situations come upon us, and he had some very serious medical issues that he had to deal with. So even though I made a really good living doing what I did, I needed more money. And so I started my online business selling on Amazon, and it quickly grew, and I learned how much fun it was and how much I loved it. So I went full-time in this business in the fall, in October of 2013, so just in 2 years. And the accounting that I've done really has helped me in my own business, and it's helped me come up with procedures and processes that is kind of difficult to do if you don't have the background and don't know. So I actually began a coaching course back in 2014 called Online Seller Success, and you may have heard that name or seen me associated with that, and that was a coaching program for Amazon sellers to help them with all the business aspects of their business. And right now I'm partnered with John K. Patel, and we are focusing on the tax part of your business, those those really difficult areas that there isn't a whole lot of help out there, and we feel not the kind that sellers really do need. So I'm going to let Janki Patel introduce herself to you, and we're going to get started with our webinar.
Hi guys, I'm Janki Patel, and a little about myself. I have a bachelor's in accounting from Northeastern Illinois University. I began selling online in August of 2014. I used to be a full-time tax accountant, and my boyfriend used to be a full-time civil engineer. At that time, we knew we were eventually going to get married and one day have a home together. I also happened to have very expensive taste, and I had to find a way to pay for my $60,000 wedding. So we decided to invest some of our savings in a hobby that generated some extra income. And so we both decided to start selling on Amazon part-time. Today we both work full-time on our Amazon business and are on track for $1 million in sales for the year. And in 23 days we are getting married, and we have saved money for a down payment. With this course, our goal is to help sellers become compliant with state sales tax obligations and just to avoid unnecessary risks. Deidre and I want to educate FBA sellers of a practical way to handle sales tax. We have personally registered for all states that we have a nexus in, and we know how time-consuming this process can be and how confusing it can be. So we want to save you countless hours of just time you spent researching, reading, and figuring out how to do this on your own. And we want you to avoid unnecessary risk. States are getting stricter, and they are requiring online sellers to collect and file taxes when necessary, a sales tax. For those of you who are not currently collecting, you are at risk of being audited and paying back taxes.
Okay, now I'm going to jump in here now, and I want to address that issue of risk for a moment. And I want to talk a little bit about Nexus. I imagine that this is not the first time you all have heard the word Nexus. And for Amazon sellers in particular, Nexus can be established in several different ways. Some of the ways Nexus can be established is when you operate in a particular state. It can be established if you have inventory stored in an Amazon warehouse, and it can be established by simply selling to customers in a state. Nexus is a complicated issue, and the reason it's complicated is because if there's no federal law. Every single state has the right and jurisdiction to create their own laws, and they can define Nexus any way that they want to. And so that's where it becomes difficult for us, for sellers online, is you have to basically read all the rules about it and the guidelines from state to state to state. I'm going to read you this article, and you know, a lot of us, before I read this article, a lot of us have we were kind of hanging our hat on the Marketplace Fairness Act, and I know I was one of those people. I was keeping my fingers crossed. I'm thinking, because it's a huge burden to put on online sellers, and I was really hoping that the legislature was going to back that. There's quite a few organizations out there that are really fighting hard to not have this tax imposed on online sellers. They've succeeded in certain aspects, but in others they haven't. But the way it's going now, and the way the states are talking and the legislation that they're putting in now, they are becoming more aggressive. And from my perspective, what it looks like on the horizon coming is that we just simply have to do this, regardless of whether it's a burden, regardless of the fact that it's very difficult for a seller starting out on Amazon to all of a sudden be faced with having to register in 13, 14 different states and manage all of it. It's just the reality of this business, and we're going to have to do it. And I want to read you this article that I recently came across, and this kind of because I want you to make your own decision on whether or not you should get registered now and comply now, or if you want to wait for a little bit longer. But this was an article in the Salt Lake Tribune in Utah, and it's talking about conservative groups and legislatures square off over online sales tax. Several Utah Senate leaders visibly squirmed at the question, do they, as Utah law requires, report how much sales tax they technically owe from online purchases and pay it through their state income tax returns? Only 2 of the top leaders at a daily press availability volunteered what they do. Senators Kurt Bramble and Wayne Harper, who both happen to be sponsoring bills on the issue. Others sat quietly. Even with that, senators appear more likely than most to pay that uncollected online sales tax. After all, Utah collects only about $200,000 a year from a few honest souls out of an estimated $80 billion to $350 million owed. So Bramble is leading a charge not only in Utah but also nationwide to make online companies automatically gather and remit sales tax on goods they sell to buyers' home states, which is opposed by a who's who of conservative groups. The Utah legislature is considering 3 bills to help accomplish that. Now, I'm not going to go on to read the rest of this, but basically, here's the thing. A lot of states who have state income tax, they have a law that says if you buy things online and you don't pay your tax as a consumer, and there's no sales tax charge, you are required to put that on your tax return. And that's a law in a lot of states. Now, the reality of it, how many people do you think really do it? As we see from the numbers here, they collected $200,000 when they really should have collected $80 million. I mean, that's a lot of money in state revenue. So if you look at it, not, you know, I don't like it, but this is the reality. The states are looking for this money. And if you think about how practical is it for them to go after their own citizens to get it, I mean, what are they going to do? Are they going to audit every single person who lives in the state to figure out how much they bought online? No, there's no real way for them to do that. There's just nothing for them to look at to figure that part out. They can estimate it, but that's about it. So who are they going after? They're going after the online, and that's us. So this, and I wanted to share this with you so that you would understand that this is not going to go away. It's not going to get better, and it could actually get to a point where it's not going to be just Amazon sellers and just Amazon FBA Nexus states. It's if they get their way, it's going to be across the board pervasive. Every single online seller, every single state, you're going to have to remit it. And that's why we decided this was a really good time to put together this program and to get some help out there for everyone who's an Amazon seller, because if you wait too long and if you don't take care of this, there's a risk involved. And that risk is that you can get audited. And then if that happens, the state can go back up to 7 years of your business, and they can collect the tax that you should have collected, and then there can be penalties and interest. And it can become a very large bill out of your pocket, and we want to help you avoid that. In order to do this, you basically simply have to become compliant. And becoming compliant in sales tax, it can be done easily and inexpensively. And tonight we're going to explain to you step by step how you can do that. Once you're set up, you can collect the tax from customers and then you remit it. Therefore, it's no money out of your pocket. Okay, so it doesn't cost you anything to do that. However, there can be costs of setting it up. There can be the costs of software, and there can be the costs of having professionals help you manage this if you're going to have your CPA do it for you or a tax attorney do this for you. This saves you money, but this saves you time, but it's going to cost you money. And so that's where we come into this time versus money dilemma. We totally understand how frustrating and confusing this whole issue can be. And that's why we're here to help make it easier. We have figured it all out for ourselves in our own businesses, and we want to help you pass the learning curve. because let's face it, we don't have time for this. You know, we all are busy running our businesses and trying to grow and build, and this whole that's why a lot of people haven't done it yet. A lot of people who've been selling a long time haven't done this yet, and they know they need to do this, but they just haven't done it because you go in and you read some blog posts or you go to a Facebook group and start reading, and it's like, it's scary and it's confusing. So we're going to help clear all that out for you. Now, the first thing you need to know is do you have Nexus, and what's your potential liability? Some of you may know this already, and if you don't know this already, we have some free resources for you. If you'll go to our website, and it's here on the bottom of the slide, johndeaccountingsolutions.com, up at the top there's a tab called Free Resources, and you can look down there, and that's all out there for you guys. These are charts, and I'm going to go through some of these and some audio, video tutorials for you. So you guys go out there, it's free for you to use, and this is going to help you because the first step in all of this is determining what is your sales tax liability, like, you know, or potential liability. Do you have it, and how much? And so those resources are going to help you. So once you've determined what your potential liability is, then you need to decide your plan of action. And that plan of action is how are you going to begin to implement this whole thing? You know, let's say that you've determined, if you've gone to our how to determine your sales tax liability, and you've listened to that, it shows you how to pull a report so that you can see where your inventory is being stored at Amazon. It shows you step by step exactly how to find that report and what it all means. And then you've gone and you've looked at your sales by state by state, and it explains to you out there how to do that. You can do it a couple of ways. You can get a TaxJar account. TaxJar is a great service, and it's very helpful for showing you what your potential liability is, as well as your actual liability if you have already registered to collect sales tax. But again, it comes with a cost, and the bigger you grow and the more transactions you have, that cost goes up. So we wanted to show you a way that you can do it yourself, especially if you're just getting started, or let's say that you're kind of just ramping up your business. Up until now, you've kind of done a little bit here and there, but not a whole lot. You've been doing it a while, but just nothing. You know, it wasn't a major part of your. It was more of a hobby or a sideline rather than an actual business. You can determine all this yourself first before you go spend money on having those services. So once you've determined what your liabilities are, the next thing you have to do is say, okay, I need to start to get registered in these different states. Now, please pay special attention to some of these audio recordings that I have for you out there under free resources, because there's some critical information you need to know about the registration process. You can do it yourself. There's even a chart out there that has the link to the state website, so they can just click through and it takes you right to the registration page, and you can do it yourself. But just please be sure you know what you're doing and you've read everything, because there's a couple of key questions that are going to come up for you. It depends on the state. Every state is different, but you want to make very sure that you understand how you're answering the questions and what ramifications that's going to have for you. And this is something that is, it is in our course. Like what we've done is we didn't like create one course and then just say, okay, here's the course on kind of generally how to apply. No, we went state by state. I mean, like literally going through the code, going through all of the registration process and on our own, and reading all the fine print to figure out if there anything in here, we need to worry about, and how should we do this. And so that's what we've given to you. We've given you a step-by-step, screenshot by screenshot, so there's absolutely no way that you can get lost or confused during the process. So that's one part of our state-by-state sales tax program that we have. So before we go on to the next step, I want to talk a little bit about having a plan, because having a plan is really important in all this. If you try to take on every single state at one time, it is extremely overwhelming, and unless you have a 4-week stretch where you have nothing else to do, like not even sending in inventory, you don't want to do that because it will drive you crazy. It's really tough to do them all because you don't know which one isn't, some of them let you register online and get your number online. Some you can register online, but you have to wait for your number to get in the mail. And then there's the whole issue of how do you set your inventory settings so that your inventory is set with a tax code so it begins to collect tax. So they're little tiny things, but if you don't know how to do it, you can kind of run into some trouble. So we take you through that registration process, then we take you through the collection process. And that collection process, again, you have some choices here. You can do it yourself. You really can. Like you have to turn it all on in your own account. But you can pull your own report to see what the sales tax liability is, like once you've registered. Another thing that I don't know if a lot of people know is Inventory Lab. If you're using Inventory Lab, and if any of you have ever listened to me before, you know that I am a raving fan. I'm like the poster child for Inventory Lab. I love them. I've been using it forever and I love it. But they have a sales tax report and it shows you how much how much you've collected, or like what your sales were in which state by state and how much you need to remit. So it's really cool. It's all right there. So like I said before, TaxJar is a good program and you can use that, but it does have a cost associated with it. So it's completely up to you. If you like that format and that's what works for you, then by all means use it because you do want to use the tools that make this as easy as possible for you. Okay, so that's the collection process. And we take you through some shortcuts and some steps on getting that all set up correctly and easily without spending hours and hours and hours doing it. And then our third step is the remittance. That means filing your sales tax. Again, this is something you can either do it yourself or you can pay somebody to do it for you. And by the way, there are almost every CPA firm or tax attorney can provide this service for you. They can do your registration for you. The general fee, there's a fee involved. It generally runs around $150 to $200 and upwards. It depends on if you have one of those really fancy CPAs, then they're going to charge you $300. But it can range from $150 to $200, and that's per state. And that's just for the setup. It doesn't include helping you with collection, which they probably won't know how to do anyway. And then they're not going to, that's not going to include filing your return. They will do it for you, but then that's going to be an additional fee. And, when you're set up in one state, it's just not a big deal. Okay, whatever, let them do it. But when you start taking that fee and you multiply that out 12, 13, 15 times, we're talking about a pretty big bill every month. Or on the outset at least for the registration process. So that's another reason why we're doing this. We want to let you know that you can do this. You can do this on your own. Okay, so so the next thing I want to talk about is a plan of implementation, and in order to determine how you should move forward with this information, and should you even take this on, you need to ask yourself a question. And one of those questions is, what does your business look like? Is it a hobby or is it a business? And if you are, I see a lot of posts and a lot of questions by people who, it's really more of a hobby. They work a full-time job and they do this on the side, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's fantastic. And they just are kind of, they buy stuff here and there and they sell it, but their sales are sporadic. It's not consistent. They may make a profit one month, they might not the next. So their sales really aren't what we call material. Material means if a state were to look at you and go, wow, this seller here is, their sales keep increasing month after month after month. If you're doing this as a hobby, that's not going to happen, and the state's you're not going to meet their threshold to even look at you. So, and if you don't, if this is not considered supplemental income to you, if you don't do this because you need to make this extra money, you just do this because it's fun or you're learning, I would say that I can't tell you that you're not liable for sales tax because you are. However, you really are under the materiality threshold. If you're making $100 a month, there isn't a reason for you to spend $100 getting in compliance. So I hope that makes sense for you. Like I said, I can't tell you, because technically, yes, you are supposed to do this, but if it's just a small little thing on the side, think about it. And if you're not sure, ask your accountant, whoever does your personal taxes, or find a friend, or ask somebody. But you may not need to go through all this. Who I'm speaking to, and the people who need to do this, are the businesses. And the businesses are, you have established yourself as selling on Amazon, and you're growing. It doesn't matter if you established yourself 2 weeks ago. If you established 2 weeks ago and you're sending in stuff and you're growing week after week after week, your business, that's one criteria. The other is you're earning a net profit each month. And by the way, what I'm talking about here is how IRS defines a business versus a hobby, because this is a question that comes up in tax returns. So that's why I'm kind of giving you, this is kind of what everyone uses as the litmus test as to whether or not you should be in compliance with some of these tax laws. Okay, if you're earning a net profit each month and that profit is increasing, if you're a brand new business and you have the intention of earning enough profit to supplement or replace your income. And what that means is, if you have taken a course on how to sell on Amazon and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and you are learning and you're out there and you're sourcing and you're getting everything together, and you went and you got your business bank account, and you're getting everything set up, if your intention is to make money in this, I suggest you just get set up now with sales tax, okay? It's just going to make things easier for you if you build it into the very beginning of your business. It's no different than going to get that bank account or going to get that American Express business, card. Just do it. It's just part of it, okay? Because you do have to do it. So it's easier to do it in the front side. Unfortunately, a lot of us Amazon sellers, we went along for a little while selling without doing this piece. So we had to go back, we had to go back and kind of implement it. But this program works for everyone, okay, no matter which part of this that you're into. One of the things we've done in our program is that we are helping you with a plan of implementation. And by that I mean we are putting out courses that are state by state, meaning right now we have the state of Illinois, the state of Florida, and the state of Maryland. Okay, so once you've gone through and established that you have Nexus, you are making sales in those states, and by the way, we have a checklist on our website under free resources, and you can do a checklist per state. It asks you some questions, and depending on your answers, it's an indicator if you have Nexus. We can never tell you specifically or give you advice and say, hey, you absolutely have Nexus here. We can't do that because we don't know your business and situation. All we can do is advise and point you in the right direction to figure that, to figure those things out. But if it looks pretty clear like you do, the way our course works is, let's say that you have Nexus in Florida, but you don't have any in Illinois. Well, you can just get the Florida course. That's it. You don't need Illinois, so you don't need to get that one. Just get the Florida course, and it's lifetime access to these courses. They're all high quality video with audio, and there's PDF guides, written guides to go along with them. And on top of that, we have a Facebook group that gives you the human help you need, okay? So rather than just going into a Facebook group and posting a question and hoping that you're going to get the right answer from somebody, John Key and I are both physically in this group, and we've created the group specifically for people who take our course. And we're going to be there, and we're going to do a workshop. So this month we're doing Illinois, Florida, Maryland. You can pick up 1, 2, all 3 of those courses, and then you come into the group. And then as you're going through the process, we're there to help you. We're going to answer your questions. It doesn't matter what it is. We're going to answer your questions. And after you've registered and learned how to collect, learned how to file everything on your own, you can do one of 2 things. Well, first of all, you have ongoing support, because you're going to continue to have our support. Even if it's 3 months from now, you're going to have our support because things come up. You'll get some weird letter from the state asking you some bizarre questions, and you're going to have no idea what it is, and you're going to freak out. This happens all the time. I used to see it in my practice constantly. But we're going to be there for you. That's one of the huge benefits of this. And the next month, like in May, we're going to have 2 or 3 more states. And so this allows you to A, pick and choose, only get what you need, and B, it helps you do it over a period of time. And in 6 months from now, you're going to be fully set up. Everything's going to be done. You won't have to worry anymore. You don't have to stress anymore. You don't have to keep thinking, oh my gosh, I need to do this and I don't know where to begin. We've laid it all out for you, and we've structured it, so that's going to help you with that. You have lifetime access to these courses. Okay, so you will never not have them. And going forward, as you grow your business, you've heard people talk about leveling up your business or outsourcing or building a team. One of the neat things is that with this course material you have, you can take this and you can hand it off to someone. If you have a bookkeeper that is going to help you out, but they don't really know all that much about this, you've got the training material already done for you. You just hand it off to them. Say, okay, here's the training material. Study this. This is everything about, you'll already be set up, but this is everything about filing. This is what you need to know. And you can hand it off to a VA if you're going to get a VA to help you on the back end of your office. So this material can be valuable in the future, not just for you now, but in the future. And so you know it and you've learned it, but then you don't have to do it forever. You can hand that off and you've already got your training material done for the person that's actually going to take care of this for you. So we've designed this to help a busy Amazon seller who doesn't have a whole lot of time, but this stuff sits in the back of your mind and gnaws at you, and it worries people. It worried me for a long time. It was like, ugh, I know I need to do this, and I don't want to get in trouble, because at the end of the day, do you really want to risk it? I mean, is it worth it? Is it worth risking your whole business, everything you've worked so hard for? It isn't, but I totally understand why people put it off and why I put it off for a while, because it's difficult and it's time consuming, and you don't want to make a mistake, because a mistake can cost you a lot of money. If you answer a question wrong, you could end up owing back taxes for like a whole year, and that's going to be costly. But we help you through that. We help you navigate those things so that doesn't happen, so that you know up front what you're doing. So that's our program, and like I said, please, we've put those free resources out there for you. The main point of this webinar was to educate you, give you a deeper understanding of the sales tax and the Nexus issue, and to let you know about those free resources on JohnDAccountingSolutions.com. They're there. They're not going anywhere. This webinar will be there for you to listen to again if you'd like, but we truly want to help you, and so you can take that information and you can do this on your own. You don't have to have our course. You can actually just use the free resources. You can do it. You just be aware you need to be kind of comfortable with reading sales, state guides on sales tax to be able to maneuver through that legalese that they talk about. But you can absolutely do it. But if at any point you get to where I don't have time to read all that, I just want to get this done, then please take our course, because it's a course that's going to get you through this in an efficient and effective manner. And you can go to our website to under state-by-state sales tax course. It's right there. It's $69 per state. That's how much it costs. So like I said, you can buy 1 state, 2, 3. If none of these states are what you need this month, then we will have more next month. Be sure to sign up on our website. There's a little banner that pops up that says sign up for newsletters or sign up for discounts and new courses that come out. So please sign up, and then we'll be sure to tell you ahead of time what states are going to be coming out for the next workshop month. And that way, if that's a state that you're going to need, then you can you'll know ahead of time so that you can go ahead and get set up for that. Okay, so I hope that I have given you guys a greater insight into sales tax. I hope I've encouraged you to do this, because that's really the important thing. Please do it. Don't put it off anymore. We're here to help you. You can, do it yourself, but at least do it. Please do it, because there will be ramifications. They'll come at some point, so you don't want to get stuck in that. So right now I'd like to, John Key, is there anything you wanted to add to this before we get into questions and answers?
No, I think you just about covered everything. One thing I did want to mention, I guess, is we are offering 3 states a month, and it's a 6-month plan. So if you continue with 3 states every month, theoretically, you should be done registering for all the states necessary in 6 months.
Great point. And also, like, let's say that you need you do your assessment and realize you need 2 of the states that we have ready for you this month, but maybe the third one you don't think you have like almost no sales there and you don't need it. But 3 months from now you might. If you're growing your business or you're just getting started, then you may need it. These courses will be available. Like, it's not just a one-time deal. They're always going to be there. So the benefit to signing up now, if you need to, is that you get the live workshop, the live Q&As with us, and we're all kind of working together at the same time through these particular states. But if 3 months from now you really need that course because you really need to get set up, it will be available for you, and you will get all of the training material that goes along with that so that you can have our help through the training materials and get set up that way. Okay, if you have any question, you can put it into the chat window. If you guys have a chat window open.
Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to ask is, with both of you having that accounting background, you both pretty much stay brushed up on the requirements that each state has then?
John Key, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we are actively looking at each state and just seeing what upcoming laws and rules they have that are changing. Like in Virginia, it used to be a requirement that you had to collect sales tax. That's no longer the case as of November 2015. So as we get new updates about the states and tax changes, we will let you guys know in the Facebook group.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing to that is that we are researching each state as we put it together. You know, we do the research before we put the state together, before we do the training material. We may not keep up with every single little sales tax blurb that comes up, but we do keep up with anything. If there's any major change, like the big one for Virginia, how they're not going to require it anymore, then absolutely. I mean, we're looking at this stuff on a day-to-day basis, and I just have a habit of it. I had to do it. I had to keep up with all this stuff for 20-something years. So old habits die hard. So I'm like all sorts of, you know, newsletters and IRS this and state tax that, and so yeah. So we absolutely will keep everybody up to date on anything that changes that's major.
Okay, and then lifetime is someone's asking. You were saying that it is lifetime access to the courses.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you buy the course, then you get lifetime access to the videos, and if we redo them, if there's like a new procedure or the forms change, we will update our videos and you will have access to that. So you can just purchase the course now, and then you need to do Illinois, so you go ahead and purchase it, but maybe you weren't able to follow along with the rest of the people in this course. You still have access to it, and you can do it on your own time. And when you finally do it and start registering, you can ask us any questions you may have in the Facebook group, and me and Deidre are more than willing to help you along with it, because our whole goal is to get everyone registered for all the states they have Nexus in.
And the way our website is set up, it's a membership. It's set up like a membership site, even though this is not technically membership. You're actually just purchasing a training module. But it allows us to let you get a login, and you can log in, and then you're going to see on your dashboard every single state that you've purchased. It's all going to be right there in front of you. So that way you can go back and access any of them at any time.
Okay, and then someone is also saying that this is really good because most people who teach or coach Amazon, they don't want to touch the sales tax issue. They don't want to train people on that part, and they always have that disclaimer that they're not an attorney, and that basics is that you have to pay taxes. So
Yeah, and you know, I mean, we have it like legally. Like we put a disclaimer. You'll see when you get the course. You'll see there's a screen and it's a disclaimer. And and we have to say we are not, practicing CPAs or practicing attorneys. We have to say it. That's a legal thing. You just have to do that because, there's been court cases founded on the fact that someone told somebody something and they did it and got in trouble. It's rare, but it happens. So anyway, that's there. But here's the thing, and I was joking with some people when I was telling them about this, and I had that same comment. I was talking to another colleague of mine, and they're like, "Are you crazy? You're seriously not going to do this kind of a course?" I'm like, "Absolutely, I am." I said, "I'm going to go where no man's gone before," because that's the problem. No one will touch it. And honestly, I would not touch it either if I didn't have the background and if I hadn't met John Key, because I really wanted to do this like a year ago, but it was too much for me to do on my own. And when I met John Key, the two of us, between our collective knowledge and skill, that's what did it. That was the key to unlock the whole thing. And I'm super excited about it because this has been, I see the comments. I'm in those Facebook groups, the sales tax groups where people are talking about it, and I see it and I feel everyone's pain. And I said, something's got to be done about this, and so that's why we put this together.
Yeah, I remember the first time as an Amazon seller that I saw the word Nexus, and what are you talking about? I'm supposed to be remitting sales tax? And
the reaction when everyone says, it's hard enough to swallow the fact that you got to do it in your own state, and then when people find out, they're like, what do you mean I have to do it in all these 15 states? Why don't ship to those 15 states? It's like, well, no, but unfortunately Amazon moves our stuff around all over the place, and so if they've moved our stuff, we didn't ship it there, but if they moved it there, well, then sometimes that triggers it.
And, someone wants to know currently how many states have Nexus in them?
John Key, you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So currently it's 19 states and your home state. And that doesn't mean that you need to register for all the states. What that really depends on is a lot of it is some states want you to register if you have inventory stored there. And Amazon doesn't move your inventory to all of their warehouses, but they will move them to several. So that's one key factor. The second key factor is, are you making sales in that state? Like Delaware, you only have to collect sales tax if you're making sales in that state. So each state has different requirements for Nexus.
And you guys can get a pretty good idea if you look at those free resources on our website. That I did a video. I did a couple videos out there for you all. And if you just go through those, it shows you where to go in Amazon Seller Central, and you can pull your reports. You can first pull a report that shows you where your inventory is located. Number one, and so you can see which warehouses you're in. And then number two, it shows you where to go to find your Amazon fulfilled orders, and you can sort that spreadsheet by state. So that way you can see a snapshot of how many, I pulled mine, and there was one state I had $25 in sales. And the month before that I had $12 in sales. So in my own estimation, that's not material. It's if you only sell $12, I mean, what is the what's the consequence of that? 5% of 12, okay, I'll pay you a back tax on it if you want me to. But the point is that if you really have to assess what's your intention for your business, because you're going to I personally wasted way too much time worrying about, okay, well, I think I have Nexus here, but I don't think I have it here because my sales really aren't that good in this state. I spent a ton of time worrying about it. And I finally said, you know what? This is my livelihood. It's what I do. I'm just going to do it all. I'm just going to get it all done. And like I said, that's one approach to do it. If you are still not quite sure if the Amazon thing's going to be your thing, or that it may or may not work out, if you're still in testing mode on it, please don't go out and register for every single state. You know, you got to make sure that this is what you want to do and this is your business. But if you are at that point and go, you know what, I'm doing this, then it's just go ahead and get it done, get it over with, and then you don't have to worry about it and you won't have any nasty surprises down the road.
Also for Mary, the link is not ready yet. We have to render and edit the webinar video, and once that's done, Deirdre will send Jenny a link for the replay, and that should be within 24 hours time.
Yeah, that was the link for the replay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you guys too, if you have a question about our course or you're not sure, if you go to johndeaccountingsolutions.com, there's a contact us button. So just click there and then you can send us a message and we'll be happy to get back with you on it.
Okay, and that's what she was asking for. Sorry about that, Mary. And John D is Jande.
John Key, can you flip back to the free resources slide? There we go. Okay, so at the bottom there, that's the website, johndeaccountingsolutions.com. And then you've got the free resources tab. And then it says have a question. That's how you can get a hold of us. So if you have a question, you just click there.
And then basically, so by going with you and John Key and Deirdre, then we're not going into several different groups and asking questions and getting several different answers for the one same question that we're asking other places and other people's viewpoints on how it should be handled. But we're getting your viewpoint on how it should be handled based off of your experience as accountants and also your research.
Exactly. Exactly. And, you know, one thing we're trained on in school and in practice is that, you know, we have to give a lot of advice to a lot of clients. And we learn early on that if we know something to be, you know, if we know that we know that we know, we just tell you. If we don't know, if we're only 98% sure, then we have to go research and look it up. So that's why we're trained that way. And I know that when I was practicing, I had to do like 35 hours of continuing professional education every single year. It was a requirement, and that was part of it because and in that venue it wasn't just sales tax; it was all taxes. But the point being is that that's another reason John Key and I put this together is because I know what's out there. I know where the informational groups are, and I've seen all the blogs, and it's not that they don't have good information, especially the blog, some of the blogs are pretty good. The problem is they don't have the experience. Like they didn't practice it. They don't even run an Amazon business. So they don't, they're just pulling out stuff that's kind of, it is a little bit general. It's a little too general, and sometimes you need specific answers, and so that's what we're going to provide, and that's what we're equipped to provide for everyone.
I think this is going to be great because most people do not know when they start their businesses on selling on Amazon or any online platform, maybe like eBay or Etsy, that eventually it's a real business and they have things that they have to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's some grace time in the front, of course, because like I said, your risk, you have a risk of audit. I was an auditor. In addition to tax preparer, I did a lot of audits. So I know how the audit thing works. And basically, you don't get audited if it's not worth it to the auditor. So a state isn't going to come after you. They're not going to pick you to audit if the most they can ever get out of you is $50. I mean, it's not worth their time. They're going to go for the bigger ones. But as they get more savvy, and if this thing goes federal, if the federal government gets involved and they make it a nationwide law, then in one way it would be better for us because it would make everything the same. Because right now every single state can write their law any which way they want to, and they can define things any way they want to. So just because one state defines Nexus one way, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the same in another. It's different. There are some states that even have a tax, it depends on which municipality or city zone that the warehouse is in. Like, it gets that complicated. Like if the warehouse is in one place, it's fine. If it's in the other, it's not. So, anyway, the point of the whole thing was that it's just better just to do it, because if you do it right, and that's why we wanted to show you how to do this. It doesn't have to cost you a fortune. You can just get it done, and then it's no money out of your pocket. Once you begin collecting, the customer pays for it. It's not you. You just have to put it all together and send it off to the states. And since there's a bunch of states, if it's not set up right, it's going to take you a long time to do it. But that's what we're going to help you do, is we're going to help you organize it to where, and one free resource out there, you guys take a look at, it's called the Sales Tax Tracker Spreadsheet. Go there, get that thing, because that's where it's a simple spreadsheet, but it makes a big difference. It helps you keep a hold of all your usernames, your passwords, for which state, in some states you file monthly, some you file quarterly, but that little spreadsheet helps you organize all of it. And if you're organized, it isn't going to take you very long.
And is there a link to that spreadsheet on your resource page?
Yeah. If you go to the free resources tab, it's a drop-down menu, and it says Sales Tax Tracker Spreadsheet. You just click on it, and it's a downloadable Excel spreadsheet.
Okay, and then
and say one more thing. For those of you who have been selling on Amazon, for a while, and you do make a significant amount of sales, it's okay to start collecting now. A lot of states, as long as you start now, they won't hold you liable for the past taxes. They just want you to start if you haven't already. It's when you wait too long and then you get audited, they're going to make you pay back taxes.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. And that's one thing we sort of walk you through. For those of you who have been selling for a while and have sold a significant amount of goods, there is a way for you to basically you start fresh, so that you're not going to end up with all that back tax. But you do have to understand how to do it, and you have to make that choice. And know how to answer certain questions the correct way, so that you don't end up in a situation where you have all these back taxes, but you don't have to. I mean, and there's a legal way and an ethical way not to have to pay all that back tax. And the states they are happy. They have a lot of them even have an actual program called the Amnesty Program, where they won't hit you. As long as you come clean, start collecting now. They're good with it. So.
Okay, Mary has another question, and yes, sort of, Mary, they did cover it, but not the second part of your question. So she's saying that she's signed up for most of all the states, and she understands that Virginia no longer requires FBA sellers to file sales tax. So she wants to know if she should still be doing that in that state. If she should still be collecting the sales tax in that state and submitting.
Well, once you're registered to collect, and you are collecting, you can't just not collect and call it a day. There are forms and processes you have to do to stop collecting. So whatever she's collected, she still has to file a return for that period. But before that period ends, I recommend that she fill out the proper paperwork to stop collecting. Because you have to let the government know why you're stopping, and even though it's their own reason that you're not required to anymore, you still have to let them know before you stop. Because if you don't let them know, they just think you're not paying up whatever you collected.
That makes sense. Okay, I don't see any other questions, but I'm really excited to get started in this program too, just because it's just a way of protecting what you work so hard for. And as Amazon sellers, we do work really hard.
That's right. And now it's, I think we've cut through the confusion, because there's always been so much confusion about it. Some people just paid to have it done or they managed to power their way through it, but there's a lot of people who just haven't done it yet. And so that's why we're here, so that everybody can have an opportunity to just get it done. It's not going to cost a fortune. they learn it. You know, it's good to learn to do things on your own. I really feel that there's an importance about that. If it's your business, not that you need to do every little thing yourself, because we all know you got to build a team. You got to have people helping you in this business. But I do think it's kind of like if y'all have ever watched, you know, those programs where the CEO of the company, you know, they're incognito and they're running around, you know, in the restaurant or whatever. But you know, you get a different perspective. If you do all the things in your business, then you can hand it off to somebody else, and it's going to make you a more effective manager of that if you know how the whole thing works. And plus, in this area, it's too important not to understand how it works. And that's with all taxes. I mean, you can't prepare your own tax return, obviously, but you have to rely on your CPA. But it's really good to understand the workings of it, and because, you know, even firms, bookkeepers, even accounting firms, you know, they're not infallible. They can make a mistake or just you know, it's a misunderstanding. So it's good that you understand how all this works, and that you have the resources to figure it all out.
And so basically with this course, you are actually learning how to do it on your own, but you're not by yourself. And
exactly.
Some people are visual learners, so by watching the videos and having something to follow along with, then they can be confident while they're learning and implementing everything they need to implement, that they're doing it correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, we give you all the background information you need first, and then we take you step by step through, screenshot by screenshot, so you can stop the video, pause it, and be doing it at the same time, you know, on your own, and just follow along. And then if for any reason anything doesn't come up the same, or you have a question or are unsure about something, then you've got the Facebook group. You can pop in there and you can ask us, you know, you can ask a question. And it's not open to the public. It's not the kind of Facebook group where everybody in the world can come in. It's only for people who have the course. And so therefore you don't have to worry about people piping up with some answer that's just not right. And Junkie and I are going to personally answer the questions too. I mean, everybody else can join in because it's a community, and it's great to you know, talk back and forth. But when it comes to those tough questions, we're there to answer them for you.
And that's the beauty of Facebook groups too, because once there's a question or an issue that comes up and it's resolved, then that can also be, if it's something really that everybody's going to go through, that could be made a quick video, so they don't have to search through in the group, and then it's also another awesome resource.
Oh, and that's a good point, Eleanor. One thing we're doing too, Junkie, you want to talk about our frequently asked questions portion of the course?
Yeah, at the bottom of each state you purchase, so let's say you purchase Illinois, at the bottom it says frequently asked questions, and those are the questions that we tend to get a lot for that state. And we'll have them all down there, so definitely look at that. That might even give you a heads up in what to expect when you register for that state. Because some states respond a lot faster than others. Others take forever to send it to you in the mail. And, you know, you get worried, like, when is it coming? And we just want to let you know, like, hey, this is one of the states that are known to, you know, take their time getting it to you.
And we're going to keep those updated too. So as we go through here, this is a brand new course. No one's ever done anything like this. And we have not done this course before. This is our first one that we're bringing out to the public with, at least. And so we're gonna, as we get the questions, we're gonna record those, and so then we're gonna have that's another resource center, so that 3 months from now, you know how it is in your Facebook group, you go, oh, I remember them talking about that. What was that? What was that? And then you're in Facebook and you're searching and you're trying to remember who said what, but you know it's in there. You scroll up and down. So this way, all those really key things are on one place. They're going to be in the frequently asked questions area so that you can easily reference it.
Okay, I don't see any other questions. I think you guys covered it really great. This is going to be very helpful to a lot of sellers, and it's going to take a lot of fear out of the process.
Yep, that's the goal.
Okay, all right then. Thanks for attending the webinar, and I hope it was helpful to all of you. Oh, wait, one more question. Oh, yeah, I'll get the replay out to Deidre as soon as possible. Mary, thanks for attending too. Okay, Deidre, do you have anything final you or John Key want to say before I close out the webinar?
No, I think we pretty much covered it, but we are looking forward, and we're looking forward to feedback too. So if you guys, not just if you have a question, but if you have a comment or if there's anything that you feel would be helpful in this program, please reach out to us and let us know in the have a question. And once you've purchased our products, then of course you have full access to us in Facebook, and then we can have a chat about it.
Okay. Have a great evening, everybody.